everyone, welcome to the Shuffle Squad and hope that you are ready for another stream full of emotions, full of very cool decks. Here we are going to be casting the top 8 of this late night series that was happening in European time zone. So good evening, good afternoon, good morning, depending where you're watching from. My name is Elena, for those of you that don't know me, and I am a content creator for the Shuffle Squad, and I am very excited because we are going to be spending the next few hours together. So I hope that we can all enjoy about this amazing game. Maybe some of you are not so proud or so happy with the format that we have right now, but this is the way it is. And in just a minute or two, I am going to be telling you exactly what is the match that we are going to be streaming. But for the time being, there is less than 1 minute in the round. But basically, if you look at the standings, which by the way are completely available and public in the page of Limitless, we see some variety of decks. So we have Lugia, of course, we have some Mew, we have Lost Box Rayquaza and a straight Lost Box. When I mean a straight Lost Box, or when I say a straight Lost Box, I often refer as, or I mean Sableye focus type of Lost Box, you know, like the early builds that Todd Redcliffe and Pedro Eugenio Torres pilot a few months ago. So yeah, we probably will be seeing those of them in a stream. Then I also see control strategies, some Arceus with Duraludon, Palkia Inteleon. I am a big fan of Palkia Inteleon, so I hope that it reaches the finals, or at least the top cut. So let me check the Discord server and let me see if we already have a match being streamed, and it should happen anytime soon. So let me refresh the page. Oh, so Palkia Inteleon got into the top cut. So we have 3 Lugias, we have Mew, we have Sableye Lost Box, and Palkia Inteleon. Ooh, Control was very close to make it to the top cut, but it didn't. So yeah, I'm going to start streaming the matchup as soon as we have an official confirmation. In the meantime, I am going to try to read some of the comments, but I don't guarantee that I will have the time or the capability to answer some of them. If not, there would be someone from the team in the chat answering questions in case that you have some of them. And please let me know all the feedback, let me know whatever you think about this stream so that we can keep improving. And I also hope that the music is not very loud, or that I don't sound very loud. So yeah, just give me a few moments and we will get started very, very, very soon. I'm going to pause for a second. Let me confirm with the team which match we are streaming, and I'll be back in just a sec. Okay, so a small change or a small update. This is not top cut yet. There was one final round. There was some stuff going on with the number of rounds of Swiss rounds that were supposed to be played. But hey, that's a good piece of a good update, because that means that now we get to see some extra rounds. So again, let it sink. This what we are seeing right now is not the top cut itself, but the last round. So what we are probably going to witness is the win and in. And we have two very interesting decks going against each other, and some decks that are not Lugia, so that's of course a welcome change. Mew against Palkia Toolbox, I will call it that way. And look at that hand from Mew. That's like what every Mew player in the world wants to start with, because as you can see, double battle VIP pass has been already played from the hand. No Chromomatic, no need to manually search for anything, just old school battle VIP pass, and that's it. Genesect is going to now use the ability to draw some cards and to set up a very scary field in turn 2. Also, we need to remember that Palkia is probably running Drapion, so let's see how it goes here. The first thing that happens is that so Drapion was prized. There are two options of what can be grabbed via Heavy Ball, so either the Articuno or the Drapion. Of course, we all know that Drapion is one of the keys or the easiest ways to win this matchup, because it can attack basically for free and destroy a Mew just in one hit without any energies. So it makes perfect sense. This is the movement that we are seeing here. Drapion was grabbed. Now, I think there are not many options in the hand of the player, because if you think about it, there are no supporters that can be activated this turn, just a right hand and a Thornton that are not live yet. So Keep Calling is going to have to set up, is going to rely on Keep Calling to do the setup, and then it's true that it will have access to some more trainer cards with right hand, with Drizzile and all of that. But now we see Mew setting up perfectly fine. We knew that the Mew VMAX was already in hand because it was grabbed via Ultra Ball, and Lost Vacuum maybe discarding its own choice belt, so to get the possibility to draw more cards. I imagine here that what the Mew player is going to prioritize is getting the energy, so to start spamming some attacks. But now it needs to be very careful, because we know that Drapion is in the hand of the Palkia player, and it can be very risky to attack directly with it. Or at least if Mew is going to launch an attack, it should be paired or combined with a Path to the Peak, so to avoid Drapion's ability to attack for free. I think that is the best possible route that Mew can go for, or simply pass the turn. Because right now, to be honest, KOing a Sobble probably won't make a difference. And that's basically it. We see the discard pile from Mew, so some stadiums have already been sent to the discard pile. We still haven't seen any Power Tablet, but Power Tablet is here, so this is huge, because there could be that Mew returns to the deck using Psychic Leap. Remember that it can copy an attack from any Fusion Strike Pokémon on the bench, so it can KO a Sobble and return directly to the bench. And in that case, if you... and this is now looking not that great for the Palkia player, because Judge has been played, but look at that. So Drapion just returns. Drapion returns. The only thing or the only issue I see with that Judge is that the hand, unless something is top decked, right now, it's completely unplayable. So, no other choice than promoting a Sobble and hope for the best. And look at that. Yeah, that Articuno is not exactly what you want to see in this type of situations. A very, the only thing that you can do here is pass. It's true that maybe you could have used boss's orders to try to slow things down a little bit, but still it didn't guarantee anything. Genesect still had the Seal Stone attached, so that meant that it can basically access whatever card in the deck at any moment. And I think that's what we are going to be doing now, that we are going to be seeing the same movement as earlier. So Mew basically protecting itself from the possibility of a Drapion coming right now, and just using Psychic Leap to KO these poor lonely Sobbles, go back to the dead and promote a 2-pricer, reducing the effect that Drapion has on the game. And yeah, at this point, even if Palkia is able to properly set up, it's already 2 prices, most likely 3 prices behind already. So it's going to be very, very difficult to come back at this point. Maybe, yeah, I think that the only chance that the player has here is to retreat and manually attack. So manually retreat and then launch this attack with Drapion, so that at least some cards are drawn of the prices zone. And that's the power of Judge. That's something that we clearly, that we all knew about. No wonder why we can all understand why Mew Control is called that way. So if you're unable to set up your field after a Judge has been played, it's basically over. And now, even if 2 prices have been taken and now the price raised is kind of equal, the problem is that Mew still has a lot of resources. Drapion was forced to take some damage for launching the attack, and now it's as easy as to evolve another Mew, and evolve meaning evolve a copy, use Ultra Ball, find a copy of Mew VMAX, attack, and then you are just 2 prices away from winning the game. And this will be especially deadly if the Mew player is able to get the Lost City, so that Drapion is not in the deck anymore and cannot be taken back with things like Rot. So let's see. Remember that there are still some movements and some tricks under Mew sleeves. A choice belt has been attached and another Judge. But okay, still there is the need to find a Mew VMAX out of the Judges. Okay, and it was drawn. So that's it. Drapion is going to get KO'd, and at least the good news is that no Lost City had been played. So Drapion could potentially come back and KO the Mew. And that can be game-changing. That can absolutely be game-changing, unless for the fact that even if it does it, Mew will still probably get the revenge KO. So let's see what route of play Palkia goes here for, because it's a very challenging situation, I would say. Now, with access to Irida, with access to Evolution Incense, there are many cards that can be searched. So let's see what is going to be grabbed. Thoron could be a good possibility to bring back the Drapion, but maybe that is not the option here. So it looks like Articuno is going to be the attacker of choice. Interesting, because remember that Articuno here has an attack that is able to paralyze the active Pokémon at the cost of damaging itself. I think it does 50 damage to itself. So I think that at this point, that's probably the only weapon that you have at your disposition, because if you try to attack with Drapion again, it probably is going to be avenged, so losing the game virtually. And the only possibility here is for the Mew player not to have a way to switch out Mew from the active position. We see that one switching card is already on the discard pile, but the question is, will the Mew player have a second one? Maybe Escape Rope, maybe another switching card. Let's see. So an energy has been played into the benched Mew, a second copy, and no switching card. Okay, so that already gives some very welcome and interesting momentum back into the Palkia player. There might actually be a chance to come back into the game, but the problem is that at some point, the paralysis lock will need to end. The key is that the Palkia player is kind of restricted to not bench any 2-pricer for the rest of the game, because Mew still has not played any boss disorders and could potentially use boss disorders to just seal the game, and that is going to be very difficult. So Inteleon, Shady Dealings, now grabbing any 2 cards, well basically any 2 cards from the deck, and it looks like it's going to be Emergency Jelly to allow Articuno to keep attacking, and a Roxanne. I think that Roxanne here is more like a way to draw cards, that they more a way to draw cards than to disrupt Mew, because we know that without Path to the Peak, Mew is just going to keep drawing as many cards as they want. So it's not that Roxanne is going to effectively disrupt Mew, at least in the short term. And there is another search via Drizzile, considering what to grab here. I think that it will be very likely that Roxanne is going to be played here, but let's see what happens and what is grabbed. So they are eyeing a Quick Bolt, probably to set up another attacker, maybe another Articuno. The problem is that 2 Sobols are already down, so at this point of the game, there are more Drizziles in the deck than Sobols. So an evolution in Sense in the end, and let's see what happens here. There are different routes. Oh, so, well, no supporter for this turn. So we see just another attack from Articuno, and the player decides to keep the Shady Dealings Inteleon, because it's what is going to allow them to get the missing pieces of the combo that they need. And Emergency Jelly was activated in the sense that it completely healed the Mew, and that was basically it. So Articuno is ready to attack at least 2 turns more. And look at that! Another energy has now been discarded by the Mew player, so all 4 energies have already been used. 2 of them are attached to Mew VMAXs, and the other one, the 4th one, let's say, is on a bench Genesect. We seem to have some freezes here in the stream, but I hope that it does not disrupt the experience. Now, Power Tablet gets played, maybe to draw some cards, a Mew V hits the bench, and Genesect keeps being used again and again. Ooh, and that was it. That was the card, the combination of cards that the Mew player was digging for. Clearly, the cross switchers that not only allows you to switch one of your active Pokemon for another one, but it also forces your opponent to do the same thing. It's like a Guzma. And Boss Disorder is going to effectively get rid of Articuno here, recognizing that it's the main weapon that this deck has. So once Articuno goes down, the question is, how is the Palkia going to come back to this? Because the only thing that is separating Mew from the victory is an attack. And that's going to be challenging, considering that, true, they have access to Drizzile, but what are the attackers? What are the options left here? What are the options left here for Palkia? Maybe trying to, considering that some switching cards have already been played, maybe a possibility here would be to try to deck Mew out by using Boss Disorders into a Genesect that has nothing attached so that it cannot retreat. But we will see. We will see what's the option here. Path to the Peak is also on play, which means that even if they wanted, they couldn't bring... I mean, they could bring Drapion back, but with no effect, and could not even attack Mew. So yeah, let's see. That is not perspectives are not looking great, I have to tell you. So Inteleon, Shady Dealings have been played, 2 cards are going to be used here, and it looks like Thornton is going to be one of the picks and Scoop Up Net is going to be the other. So I wonder if that means that we are going to see a Drapion coming back. But let's see, then Drizzile evolves, searching for another card. That is going to be, let's see, the Escape Rope, the Bucket, to get some more cards into the hand. Okay, so there are the final 2 basic energies. One of them gets discarded for Ultra Ball to be played, and Palkia looks like Palkia is going to be the option here. Let's see, Palkia, Manaphy, SQ, Greninja. Yeah, those are basically the options. So Palkia was grabbed, is going to be played, and then we see the boss's orders, exactly. So understanding that the opponent has already used some of the has already used most of the switching cards, because if I am not mistaken, there are no cross switchers left in the deck, and we saw one switching card already being used. So now probably it's just a stall until the Mew player either finds a final switching card or takes out. And there it is. So there was another switching card directly in hand. So that's how Mew wins not round 1, sorry, but game 1. It was a pretty quick game, in the sense that, well, not that quick, but it was kind of quick in the sense that the Mew player got a very explosive start, got some very, very early KOs, preserved the Mews, and got very well protected against the Drapion menace. So Drapion, we only saw it, but it was not as effective as it normally is. Didn't get a lot of advantage here, and now we are going to see probably game 2. So let me see. Okay, so, well, we are going to be back just as soon as the stream resumes, as the deck, not as the stream, but as soon as game 2 begins. So I will keep you guys posted. Okay, so we are back to it. We are back to another play here, and let me make sure that I am mute on Discord because I don't want to distract the players. Okay, so now that what we are seeing here is a whole different match. And this is Mew against what seems to be Lugia in this case. So as we can all see, Mew has decided to start first, which is of course what you need to do. And very interesting, look at this. So V-Guard energy being played on Mew's side. Because the problem that Mew has is that it normally has a very low HP compared to the rest of the other big VMAX Pokemon and can be easily taken down. But however, with VMAX on the equation, that is no longer the case. And it looks like the player decides to sacrifice here some switching cards for the greater good. And the greater good in this case is to properly set up and draw more cards, hoping maybe to get a Battle VIP pass, which does not happen, but it's fine because at least you can start threatening your opponent with a turn 2 Mellow Era attack that is more than enough to KO everything. And now the debate here is, should I play my stadium cards to keep throwing via Genesect, or should I hold onto them till the moment that I truly need them? So it looks like the first option is going to be selected, and this is probably going to get even, yes, that is, another Genesect, because the priority here is to draw cards rather than have to Mew VMAXs, which is of course going to be important, but not as important as to draw cards. And Mew, and the Mew player, what we see here is that it still has access to use the Seal Stone, effectively getting any card from the deck. So we are probably going to see just a pass here and back to Lugia. So let's see what Lugia is able to do here. Let's see what they are able to do here. Ultra Ball, maybe discarding to Archeops. How amazing is that? That is basically amazing. So double Archeops gets discarded, and that is probably going to search for a Lugia, because of course, you know the Lugia drill. All you need to do is basically get a Lugia on the field, evolve it in the second turn to a Lugia VMAX, to a Lugia VSTAR, put 2 Archeops into your bench and go from there. Basically, there is nothing else left to do. So Lugia gets picked and a capture energy was attached to Radiant Charizard. So that effectively gets the Lugia player a way to search for a second Lugia. Now, this is absolutely important and this is absolutely crucial, because if you leave just one Lugia on the field against Mew going first, Mew can easily use Boss's Orders to take it down, and without access to Lugia's VSTAR ability, you cannot accelerate energies, and if you don't accelerate energies, your attackers are useless, and if you don't attack, you don't win the game, and well, that's a that's a lengthy way of saying that you are basically lost. So Marnie was played trying to disrupt a little bit the chances from Mew getting what they need, and Oranguru here hits the field, which is going to provide a lot of consistency during the game, and just a pass here from Lugia. Now, there are different options that Mew has here, but I think that we can all agree that the priority here is going to be to get a Boss's Orders and start getting some 2 prizes KOs, because it's just that even it's true that if you attack Charizard, you're getting rid of long-term problem, but you want to remove Lugia out of the field and then go something like boss, horn, boss to win the game. So let's see what it's going to be picked with this Cramomatic. That was a lucky coin toss because it hit heads. So it looks like it's going to be Escape Rope. Okay, interesting. So yep, Escape Rope was grabbed, and that's going to allow the Mew player to switch into Mew, having free retreat, and maybe plan better the movement here. It is also very smart and kind of expected that Oranguru was going to be picked, because it is the one prizer that you are kind of willing to sacrifice, because that's how you win against Mew. And then the Ultra Ball is going to get a Mew VMAX here. Now, it was a bit unfortunate the fact that the Echoing Horn was grabbed while it cannot be used. Remember that the Echoing Horn, of course, only works with basic Pokemon, and no basic Pokemon are on the... There is no basic Pokemon on the discard pile. So just using Lost Vacuum to remove cards and get some more drawing power. Now, I wonder what is going to be the decision here from the Mew player on what to attack with. Because there are different, as you see here, there are different ways in which this can go. So either they attack with Meloetta, or either they try to find a double colorless energy to attack directly with Mew VMAX. The problem with attacking with Mew VMAX is that Lugia, if they have a combination of 4 powerful energies and maybe even the choice band, Mew can go down. So that's not as easy as it seems. Definitely not as easy as it seems. And looks like another Ultra Ball is going to be played. Maybe grabbing another copy of VMAX or not. Okay, no. So no copy of VMAX was grabbed. Just trying to maximize here the power of Genesect. And now this is absolutely game changing because as I was saying, probably something that you want to avoid here is to attack into a 1-pricer. So Boss's Orders is going to be played into the benched Lugia, effectively giving 2 prizes. So not only it gives 2 prizes for the Mew player, but also it gives the possibility to use Echoing Horn in the next turn. Now, what would have been absolutely incredible here would have been to have access to a path to the pick, forcing Lugia to get a way to get rid of it, like Punkaboo or maybe their own copy of Lost Vacuum, because if they don't get rid of path to the pick, they basically cannot play the VSTAR. So we see here the first KO, so Mew is now leading the prize race. Lugia goes down and another Lugia is going to be promoted. So if Lugia is now on the active position, I imagine that this is because it's going to launch a very, very powerful attack, pun intended, because we are going to see four copies of powerful energy getting attached onto the Lugia. Evolution Incense now has been played. This is probably going to search for a Lugia VSTAR, and then we are going to start to see a lot of, well, just Lugia shenanigans, Lugia doing a lot of Lugia things. That's how it works, basically. So another key piece for this matchup is going to be the possibility to use or not Amazing Yveltal, because you know that Amazing Yveltal has the capacity to KO everything that is on the active position, unless Mew uses the tool. I forgot about the name of the tool. The umbrella. It's not umbrella. I think it's the big parasol. Sorry, the umbrella. It's a bit late for me here. Sorry, guys. But unless Mew has the big parasol attached, it won't be able to avoid getting KO'd by it. So we see Archeops being used, and look at that. So 3 energies to Lugia and 1 V-Guard energy, which is going to be massive because that V-Guard energy basically forces Mew to spend all the resources that they have into... Ooh, and that is very, very... well, I don't know if unlucky or not, but 30 damage short from getting the KO on Mew. I imagine that what the Lugia player was looking for was the Choice Belt, because with the Choice Belt, Mew would have gone to the discard pile, and that is the reason why they decided to accelerate the energies before using Professor's research. So now let's see what the Mew player is going to do here, because it's not a very easy situation. It's clear that you need to launch an attack at some point, and it's also kind of clear that you would like to heal up that Mew, but if you do that, you are not going to be doing a lot of damage. So different options here, as we are seeing. There is the possibility to play Elesa's Sparkle, but with 1 energy in hand, maybe the impact is not going to be so great, then there is also the possibility to go for Judge, and basically that's it. So either we see some Judge and then some more cards getting drawn by Genesect, or maybe just an attack and a Psychic Leap. Let's see. Because as I said, that Lugia is not going down anytime soon. So looks like the player decides to go for Elesa's Sparkle, which is definitely a way to power up some other attackers in the field. But let's see what happens here. So we see one power tablet being used. That's basically it. There is still one Genesect left to be used here with Fusion Strike system, and that actually gives a Chromomatic that can be huge, because oh my god, that is insane. I was not anticipating this, because of course oh my god, I knew that this was something that was perfectly possible of achieving. The thing is that the player needed to get at least 2 power tablets with that hand, and I didn't see a lot of chances of that hand being reduced to draw more cards. So now the pressure is on Lugia. The pressure is on Lugia, even if it's true that it can now get 4 prizes, equalizing the game. Wow, what an interesting game we are seeing. This is a really back and forth game. Mew player getting heads on the Chromomatic, that was absolutely key to get the KO, but now I think that it's going to be the turn of Reiko to shine. It's going to effectively KO the Meloetta and then deal some damage to the bench Mew. So taking 4 prizes in total, and all the Lugia player would need to do is to get boss's orders. But let's see what happens. Ooh, this is going to be a very interesting end of the game, and we will see the winner pretty soon, depending on the draws of each player. Let's see. 2 energies have been attached onto Raikou, 2 Aurora energies, which might hint that the 3rd Aurora energy is in the hand. Archeops was grabbed. Maybe that's going to be discarded to manually attach the 3rd Aurora energy, or just to thin out a little bit the deck. So let's see what happens here. Ooh, an amazing Yveltal now hits the field. That's very interesting. I don't know if it's a way of kind of telling the opponent, hey, look, even if you KO my Raikou, I still have enough resources to fully power up Yveltal and KO anything that you decide to bring. So that's going to be very huge. That could be huge. But instead of powering up the Yveltal, then what seems to be the choice here is Oranguru, maybe to have some free retreater. So double 120 damage, Mew and Meloetta, they are both sent to the Lost Zone, and it's now the time for Mew to answer. What are we going to see here? What are we going to see here? So looks like another Mew is going to be benched to maximize the drawing power of Genesect. Let's see. Another Chromomatic is going to be played, and another Heads. Ooh, another Heads. That really hurts, because Roxanne, for good or for worse, is a game-changing card. And now, what Mew needs to do here is to disrupt their opponent so that they don't get a boss's orders. Lugia can still win if they are able to hit, just a boss's orders, and if they have the last Aurora energy, or maybe the Heat energy, because with the boss's orders they can target Genesect, and that's basically it. You lose. But if they don't, and it's possible that they miss that because of the fact that Roxanne has been played, Mew wins. So it all comes down to what Lugia has drawn out of that Roxanne. Oof, very interesting. So 130, enough to KO the Raikou, and what has Lugia drawn? That's the question. Radiant Charizard gets promoted, then the energies are going to be accelerated and the boss's orders. Oh my god. And boss's orders, so that is more than enough to KO one Genesect, and that's it. Just like that, Mew loses game 1 of this top 8. Wow. It's true. So truth be told, it's true that Lugia still had access to Luminium and could have searched the boss's orders with a ball. But having just like that, the boss's orders just like that, yeah, I can imagine how it feels when you go against something and it just happens that sometimes you do everything in the right way and you are kind of threatening your opponent and you think that you have everything under control but there are things that you cannot control after all. So yeah, that's it. So the first game is won by our Lugia player, proving once again why Lugia is one of the best decks ever. Or one of the best decks, I would say, one of the best decks in the entire format. So let's wait for a little bit. And one second. Okay, so there we are. We are going to be now switching gears. Looks like, oh no. Okay, we will stick with the Mew player. We have the two players. We have the two players actually showing us the game, but we are going to stick with Mew here. And let's see what happens here. I guess that Mew is going to go first. That would be the case. And we see double Meloetta. Well, I didn't mention it, but of course this is not a straight Mew. This is Meloetta Mew. So Lugia will give a mulligan. And by the way, I didn't mention it, but the Mew player is called Dominique. And it's going against Nicked Neras, who is from Brazil. By the way, the Lugia player is from Brazil. So, boy, that is not what you want to open up with, especially against Mew. Luminion is something that you want to stay on the deck as long as possible until you actually need it to close the game. But on the other hand, the Mew player has not opened up precisely well. And what we are going to see here is that the Mew player will be forced to almost play down their entire hand to get some draw cards. It's not ideal to set up double Meloetta, you only want one, but when you draw like that, you have to do what you have to do. So I imagine that this Ultra Ball is going to get a Genesect, and now we will see what happens if Mew is going to be able to properly set up. An Echoing Horn was also played, which is it's one of the win conditions, even if in the previous game we didn't see it getting played. And we're going to see just Fusion Strike from Genesect, drawing some extra cards. And nothing else, because Chromomatic was drawn, but even if it was drawn, the problem is that there are no item cards to discard. That's the issue that you run when you play Mew, that sometimes you are able to easily draw onto anything that you want, double battle VIP pass, and these kind of things. But that's the problem. That is the problem. So slow start from Mew that can be capitalized actually via a strong start from Lugia. So let's see what happens here. Professor's research. It was decided that that is interesting. That is actually quite interesting because it was decided that the Aurora energy got attached into Luminion, which on a way it might seem risky because it's like, hey, if your opponent gets the KO, then you lose one Aurora energies, and we've seen how important Aurora energies are for this type of matchups. But on the other, it's very probable that what happens is that the opponent tries to target down one of the Lugias on the bench. So it's like kind of preparing or setting up the field in the most efficient possible way so that no matter what your opponent targets, you still have something that can survive. Because if you attach the Aurora energy onto Lugia and that Lugia gets taken down, it's even worse. And also, don't forget that Luminion can effectively attack through Meloetta and go back to the deck. And that is going to be very important. But let's get again, let's see the game, what the Mew player is going to be doing now. There are a couple of options, but none of them are honestly that good. So in the end, it was decided that Ultra Ball was going to be played, sending to the discard pile Roxanne and Boss's Orders. The only way in which Mew can get an attack here would be via Roxanne. Via Lesa's Sparkle. But in this case, so no heads. If they decide to attach here the Vigard energy, is so that they can draw more cards with Genesect and hopefully get the Lesa's Sparkle. So let's see what these 5 cards look like. There is still hope. There is a third Genesect, and there is still the possibility of drawing. So there is the possibility of drawing cards, and there is the possibility of hitting heads. But that does not happen. So again, they need to rely now on Genesect's power to get the Elesa. So is Elesa going to make an appearance here? It doesn't, but the stone does. And a stone is capable of getting Elesa. And I guess that's what the Mew player is going to go for. Or at least that's what I would imagine. So yeah, Elesa gets grabbed and Mew recognizes here that it is absolutely necessary to attack right now and to start getting some damage on the field. And that's what we are going to see. And I guess that now what we are seeing here is how they are discarding even more resources in an attempt to reach Path to the Peak. Because if you can effectively shut down Path to the Peak, or maybe not. No, it's true. They already had all the Genesects used. So it was a way to remove a tool from the field, and now it's Lugia's turn. So let's see how this goes. This is going to be very interesting. Lugia, of course, can easily blow Meloetta away. Poor Meloetta is not going to survive against the rage of the Guardian of the Seas. And we see now the VSTAR getting played, so 2 Archeops hit now the bench. And what is going to be interesting is the attacker of choice. I think that we might see just a very straightforward attack from Lugia VSTAR and trying to protect itself from a total KO with a Vigard energy. So in my opinion, what the Mew player is going for is for double Boss's Orders to win the game, which is something that is not going to be that easy because, as you can tell, Echoing Horn has already been played. So, this is not looking that great. Ooh, and look at that. That's definitely going to make things even more difficult for Mew, because that Boss's Orders gets rid of the real menace that was on the real problem that could be, and now Meloetta is left standing alone and 2 Fusion Strike energies have already been used. So Meloetta cannot reach high amount of damage, or at least not the amount that you need to KO a Lugia. And that, my friends, is probably going to make it very, 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 very difficult for Mew to come back into this game. And yes, that's the thing that happens with Mew, that sometimes when the deck rolls and you have everything, then the world is amazing and you smile and everyone smiles and everyone is happy. But when you are forced to sacrifice those resources that are very valuable for you to survive or for you to get KOs in the next few turns, things get complicated. So I feel here that this play was the right one. It is about bossing an Archeops and pray. Boss an Archeops and basically pray. I feel that at some point, if they want to win this game, I feel that Silene will need to be used and get at least one head to recycle some cards, but I don't know. Let's see what happens here. So Fusion Strike from Mew, drawing some more cards, Power Tablet in case that you truly want it, and Melodious Echo from Meloera, enough damage to KO the Archeops. Now, the problem is, how do you get rid of that fearsome Lugia on the active position? And Luminous Sign is played. It's going to grab for sure a Boss's Orders, for sure. The target has to be Mew, or could be different things, but if Boss's Orders is grabbed, there it is. If Boss's Orders is grabbed, as it is the case, then Lugia only needs... Well, basically they are getting rid of so many potentially powerful menaces. So Boss's Orders onto the Mew. Yeah. Lugia attacks. Only 2 prizes are separating Lugia from the victory here, and the player, so Mew recognizes that it was it, that there is no way for them to come back into the game. Meloera is not doing enough damage, and we are going to see how they concede. So guys, what an incredible game we saw here. I think that it was a very clear representation of how this matchup goes, and the fact that Mew is so powerful, but only when it draws in the right order. Mew is basically a deck that has to draw in a particular order, and when that does not happen, that's basically it. When that does not happen, that's it. So we are going to be back in just a second, because let me check exactly how the standings are looking like. So the top cat, there it is. So we are waiting for one more. If I am not mistaken, we are currently waiting for one game to finish, and then we'll get into the top 8. So allow me to go and get myself a glass of water, and I'll be right back very soon. So don't leave, stand by. Okay, so I'm back. I have my glass of water with me. This is supposed to be a Hogwarts Harry Potter mug, but you cannot see the draw anymore. Anyways, so we still have one top 8 matchup going on, and so I thought, why not? Let's stream it, even if we've already covered our top 8 matchup, but there is this one that is left, and it's being streamed in Discord as well, so why not look at it, even if, of course, we won't be able to, we would have already missed most of it, just because it's been on for a while, but let's see some action. And in this case, let me give you some background information about what we are seeing here. So it, of course, features, as you can perfectly tell, Lugia against Lost Box. Now, the score is currently 1-0 in favor of the Lugia player. So if Lugia wins this one, then it will go straight for the top 8. So I didn't see exactly what has happened in the previous turns, but for the situation that we are here seeing, looks like Lugia and Lugia and Lost Box are pretty much in a very similar position, in the sense that both of them have gotten 2 prize cards each, and now looks like Lugia is going to be attacking over this poor Cramorant. Well, actually not poor Cramorant, it's a pretty nasty card to go against, to be perfectly honest. And also, another important thing that you need to know, the Lost Zone player, who happens to be a British player, is playing almost a straight Lost Zone kind of deck, because it features double Samacenta V, 1 Raikou V, 1 Luminion, 1 Radiant Greninja, and that's pretty much it. But this is not combined with with Amazing Rayquaza. So, having said that, let's see how they are going to come back into this game. The only way to potentially KO Lugia in this situation is going to be with Raikou, but if you look at the bench, you will see that Dunsparce is actually now using its effect to protect Lugia and leaving it without any type of weakness. So it's going to be a challenge. I guess that I don't know exactly what the Lost Box player has in hand, but I think that the best option here would be to attack with a powerful attack, or to deliver a powerful blow onto Lugia, and that can be either done via Zamazenta or via Raikou, but Raikou is maybe not that advisable, considering that not weakness will be applied. An alternative route could be to use Sableye if they have the necessary damage counters the necessary cards in the Lost Zone, and go for the Archeops. That could be a possibility. Right hand has been played and has attached 1 Water Energy onto Greninja, so maybe we even see Greninja attacking this turn. Maybe Greninja will target down the Dunsparce, so making then Lugia sensible again to a lightning type attack, but I don't know. Some recycling cards being played, so Super Rod is the one that I started playing with, so Ordinary Rod gets played, takes back double Cramorant, but to be perfectly honest, the pressure is now on the Lost Zone player, because if they don't win this game, if they don't equalize this game, Lugia is going to advance into the top 8. So maybe we are going to see another attack from Cramorant. Yep, that basically seems like it. And I think that would worry me a little bit if I was the Lost On player, is a potential Raikou. I don't know, however, because I think that we haven't seen the discard pile from Lugia. I don't know if there are enough Aurora energies for Raikou to be played, but let's see what the Lugia player decides to do here. So Primal Turbo Oh, okay. Ooh. That always gives me a mini heart attack when I see the damage, when I see, the countdown begin in BTC Online and you're about to lose the turn. And had the Lugia player lost the turn, things might be very, very, very difficult. So let's see how Lostbox is going to react now. There are different options, as I was saying, but I don't know if now targeting the Archeops is going to be effective at this stage of the game. Greninja is fully powered up, and it's probably going to be the one that we see attacking, but it is not strong enough to KO Lugia. And even if you get one KO on the bench, then how do you prevent Lugia from taking more prize cards? That's what I am currently wondering. So yeah, not entirely sure of how this is going to play out. Now, Flower selecting from Comfy, sending Luminion to the Lost Zone. Okay, another Comfy now will allow some more cards, where there are plenty of cards in the Lost Zone, so Sableye and Mirage Gate and all of these cards can very easily be used. The problem here is that Lugia only needs 2 attacks to win, and that considering that the opponent doesn't use something like Raikou V. So Greninja gets promoted into the active position, it's going to launch an attack, and that attack is going to target Lugia and Dunsparce. Okay. Lugia and Dunsparce is, I think, the most obvious or the most reasonable move. But as I am saying, how do you prevent your opponent from getting the last 2 prizes? Lugia is left with 80 HP left. It can be easily taken down with everything. So Sableye can come here, Cramorant can come here. But now looks like the Lugia player is preparing everything for the moment in which Lugia goes down, powering up a Radiant Charizard. And if Lugia goes down, Radiant Charizard has the power to literally destroy anything, Zamazenta included, which is very important because Zamazenta is weak to fire, and even if Zamazenta was not weak to fire, Charizard would still be able to finish it off. So I guess that we are going to just see a Tempest Dive. Again, like they are always at the verge of at the verge of the final countdown. Oh my god! So Luminion gets played here. I wonder exactly why. Maybe to accelerate some energies, or to grab something. I don't know what I'm missing here. Okay, so Skyla, which is a really interesting. Okay, so Skyla, maybe this was chosen as a way to thin out the deck. It's fine in case that the Lost Box player plays Roxanne. So 1 attack from Lugia, only 1 prize separating Lugia from another top 8. And how is Lost Box going to react? That's the question. Is Lost Box going to react at all? Can it react? I really don't see right now how Lost Box is going to be able to take 3 prizes in just 1. Well, it could if it played Amazing Raikou, but they don't. So I guess that we are just going to see here Drapion attacking with 4 energies and falling 1 prize short. Let's see. The Lost Box player doesn't seem to be very happy with the cards. Here, they wrote a sad emoji. So what is going to happen now? Does this mean that Lugia gets the victory? Or what is going to happen here? Sableye gets played, so maybe we see a manual attachment of a psychic energy. Escape Rope. I would imagine that here you either promote the Charizard or the Lumineon, something that you can attack with. Okay, so Charizard gets promoted. And then... Also, I didn't notice, but there are only 3 cards left in the deck of the Lost Thorn player. So if they use too many Comfys, they might take out. Okay, Sableye gets the energy. Now there needs to be a way to move Comfy out of the active position. The Scoop Up Net is going to allow them to do that. And Sableye is going to attack. Sky Seal Stone. Ooh, actually, a Sky Seal Stone could have given the Lost Zone player the 3 last prizes that they needed. But I guess that they just ran out of energies. So with that being the situation, I think that now Lugia is going to easily win the game. Charizard just needs to attack, Combustion Blast, and that was basically it. Then we have the top 8 completed, basically. So that is it. To no one's surprise, Lugia is, I think, the most popular deck in our top 8. Let me check very quickly what our top cat looks like. So, So we have a Lugia mirror match, and then Lugia against Control, which might be the game that we will see streamed. So we have the 4 players now getting ready to play this match. I guess that we are going to be seeing the Control one, just because I think that we have all seen a lot of Lugia mirrors. But I will get back to you as soon as I have the stream, and so as soon as someone is setting up the game. So be right back in just a second. So hang in there. Okay, so this was actually faster than I imagined. I wanted to go very quickly to the bathroom, but this was not the case. But that's okay, because we have even more amazing action here. So we see the Lugia player that we were seeing before going against, let me check very quickly, going against Matthew, who is playing a Control deck. So, don't get me wrong. I think that Control strategies are always great to see, are very interesting to play against, because it forces you to really know your resources, it forces you to really know the matchup. But when you are facing a Control strategy, sometimes you want to be someone else, if that makes sense. So this deck that we are going to be seeing on stream, it's a very interesting deck in the sense that it runs, of course, 4 copies of Yveltal from Celebrations, it runs Eldegoss, it runs Miltank, it runs Radiant Greninja, and this is what I find very interesting, it runs 1/1 line of Flying Pikachu. So no SQ, but Flying Pikachu, which is another way of shooting down basic Pokémon. Now, Lugia has not started in the best way, not because they didn't open up with Lugia, of course, but because they opened with none other than Radiant Charizard, and Charizard is one of the basic Pokemons that you never want to see in the active position, because you need to invest 3 energies retreating it. We now see something very, very, very spicy coming up into the bench, which is Grident V. And I must say that I love squirrels, and I would be very, very happy if Grident wins this matchup by itself, because it has such a unique attack that can turn things upside down. But well, anyways, so what we are seeing here is the following. So Snorlax has now set up with Gormandize. It's going now to get some extra cards. 2 Ibeldolls from Celebrations that are very scary had hit the bench, and also very important, the control player, so Matthew, had been able to draw an Stadium card. And the Stadium card is Galarian Mine that will force that actually forces to use a switching card like Bird Keeper in order to take Radiant Charizard out of the active position. So that can be an issue. And guess what? We do not see a Lugia VSTAR here. So no attack for the time being. And I wonder what Lugia is going to be doing now, because there are not many options here, and you don't want to attach the energies unless it's absolutely necessary. The matchup between Lugia and Control goes something like that. Lugia needs to count the energies, needs to use all the energies to attack, and if the... oh my god. Sydney has made an appearance, and this is terrible for Lugia because they had 2 energies in the hand, and this is already giving Lugia a lot of long-term problems because there are just two less energies that you have, to potentially 1 attack less that you have. So yeah, things are not looking exactly bright. I would imagine that Archops is going to be grabbed, or perhaps a Lugia. Let's see here what happens. It's true that the Stadium can be discarded with the Vacuum that is in the hand, but I wonder how they are going to remove. That's the question that I have. How are they going to switch the Radiant Charizard, considering that there is no enough bench space to get another Luminion and to find Bird Keeper? Maybe they just go ahead and attack with Radiant Charizard, but to me that would be very, very problematic if you do that. Oof. Looks like Radiant Charizard is going to launch an attack. Oh my god. But if you do that, you need to invest 5 energies to do that. And if you KO okay, so that seems to be the route here. Now, to be perfectly honest with you guys, if that is the situation, and if the opponent is able to answer with a double turbo energy or with a twin energy, I feel that the game is going to be almost over, because the Lugia player will be down to like 10 or maybe 9 energies, and that is not enough to win the game before they discard all your energies. I want to be absolutely transparent and open with you. So, unluckily for the Lugia player, as you can see here, the twin energy, I think it's the twin, no, it's the double turbo energy, has been grabbed. Ibeldol is going to attack and is going to discard the whole 3 energies that Charizard had. So, yeah, it gets Charizard stuck in the active position. And now what you gonna do? What would you do if you were in that position? How do you get rid of that active Charizard? What do you power up? Do you play passively? And even if you're able to power up other attackers like a Grident VMAX or your Lugia or even your Luminion, it is still going to be very challenging for you to use the attacks that you need to win the game before Ibeldol leaves you without energies. And at some point, that needs to happen. So we saw Skyla being played to grab a Bird Keeper. And, well, nothing happens here, so Ibeldol tries to attack without any type of success, of course, because there were no special energies in the field. And now let's see what happens here. There is the possibility to use Birdkeeper onto something like Lugia or something like Luminion. Okay, so it looks like we are going to see Luminion attacking here. And the Lost Vacuum has been used, so that will guarantee a KO. Now, it is very important for the Lugia player to keep track of the amount of energies that they have. And looks like there are only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 energies in total. It might suggest that some of them are prized. Now Luminion is going to attack over Iveltal, get the KO, and then something will need to be promoted. So I wonder what that something is going to be. Typically, the most effective way to play against Control is to loop Luminions. So you have to have 2 Luminions, one on the active position and one on the bench. And so you can theoretically loop between them infinitely, because you attack with one, it goes to the deck, then you put the other one, and so on. It is true that that loop can be easily stopped by your opponent using boss's orders, but let's see what happens here. I think that we might see a passive turn from the from the Control player, maybe setting up the field and setting different attackers. In this case, more Iveltals. 2 of them have already been sent to the discard pile, but I think that they ran, let me check very quickly if they ran Thoron. Yes, so there are 2 Thorons in their list, so it means that at any point in time, at any point during the game, that Snorlax that you see on the bench can become another Iveltal. So yeah, that's going to be interesting. Also, I didn't mention it, but what we've seen is that Griden V was the Pokemon that was chosen to be promoted into the active position. I wonder if it is because the Lugia player is relying on Griden VMAX to, take a tasty bite and get a lot of prizes in one turn. I wonder if this is the play that we are going to be seeing next turn. So, in the meantime, a Quick Ball has been played here. Let's see what they are going to grab. I guess that they are just thinning out the hand so that Snorlax can effectively use Gormandize and get as many guards as possible. I don't think that we will see an attack here at this point of the game. And there it is. So Gormandize for 7 cards. And are we going to actually see Griden VMAX hitting the field? As I said, I'm a big Squirrel fan, and I would love to see some very weird things with a chunky Squirrel destroying Control. Not because I have any preferences between those players. Of course, I don't know them. But it's just that it would be how cool it would be to see such a big Squirrel doing that. So, now, Lugia is going to play Marnie to disrupt the opponent's hand. Very interestingly here. This could potentially stack something into... It could potentially get rid of the resources that they needed to win the game, especially if they don't have a second Snorlax. But let's see. Now, what are the possibilities that Lugia has here? How do you attack with? With what do you attack? And even if the risk that you have is that even if you decide not to attack, which is the case, if your opponent plays his second copy of Sydney, it will be almost impossible to come back into the game. I don't know if Sydney is in the hand of the opponent, doesn't look like it, but if it is, it's almost game over. Okay, so Snorlax, yes, feels comfortable there in the active position, Gormandizing, eating. What does a Snorlax eat? I don't know. What does it eat? I don't know. And Boss's Orders is going to target... Let's see what is going to target Boss's Orders, because it was grabbed via Luminion, and then Archeops will use its ability to accelerate some energy, which, I mean, on the one hand, it's good, you need to attack to win against control. But on the other, if you use those energies, on something that is not going to give you an immediate advantage, then that Ivytool from Celebrations is going to destroy you. So looks like nom 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 in scissors, nom 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 in scissors is going to be used. We'll draw some cards, we'll get one prize, because of course Ivytool was KO'd, and the question is, will now Matthew be able to answer? I feel that if they are able to answer with an Ivytool, things can get difficult for the Lugia player. And look at that, Thoron making an appearance and transforming Greninja into Ivytool, and Ivytool discarding 3 energies from Greedent. It is true, however, that Greedent could still attack, because I feel that there were some more energies in the deck. But the question is, do you have enough energies to at least attack 3 more times? I think there are not enough energies in the Lugia deck. Let's see. So how many energies are there? There's the Mew VMAX, another Luminion, 2 energies. So there are 2 energies left, plus the 2 energies that the player has in hand. It means that it can attack 1 turn before Ivytool leaves them without energies. The only option that you have here is to preserve your energies and to continuously loop with Luminion. I feel that's the only possible route to victory that Lugia can now play. But how do you take Greedent out of the active position? That's going to be definitely problematic. So difficult decisions from Lugia. Of course, this is not an easy matchup, especially if you are not used to play against it. I guess that at this point, Lugia is like, you know what, wherever I am going down, but if I am going down, I am going down with a style, munching and eating a lot. I'm going to eat my way till you leave me without energies, and I'm going to keep attacking over and over and over with Greedent. That's my objective here. So let's say, well, maybe actually that's interesting that Regieleki was promoted. That might be because the opponent does not have a lot of energies. Oh, wait, that can be actually very bad. So the opponent not having energies means that they are going to try, that's interesting, that they are going to try to stall the game and to win the game in another way. There are still 3 energies in the Greedent VMAX, in the Greedent V on the bench. Now, the question is, I don't think that the Lugia player has another way of retreating Radiant Charizard. So I think that at this point is just being very, very, very patient. Yes, no retreating cards, no retreating options. It's true that they could potentially get rid of the stadium, but even if they did that, Radiant Charizard requires 3 energies to go to the bench, and that's not looking very promising at this point, to be perfectly honest. And there are only 8 cards left in Lugia's deck. So at this point, I think Lugia is pretty much blocked, unless, I mean, yeah, you could maybe power up something, but what do you power up? A Charizard? Maybe the only option that I see here is to try to manually retreat Charizard, but I don't see how. If there was that possibility, maybe you could retreat Charizard, attack with Greedent, and pray that they don't have any more twin energies, but it seems that they do. Now, if they have a net, and they are able to discard the energies from Credent, I think that we can all assume that this game is over. So Quick Ball going to be played here. I feel that both players are now trying to play a more cautious game. Eldegoss has now been grabbed, which means that if they really want to, it can transform into anything that has already been used, like maybe Sydney. Sydney could be very damaging here. Of course, the Lost Box Matthew does not have a way of knowing if there are energy cards or not in the hand. But if they assume that energy cards are in the hand, it is as easy as using Eldegoss, playing Sydney, and that's basically it. So, and maybe the fact that they are using Archeops without targeting anything gives already the hint of the special energies being in the hand already. So what is Lugia going to be doing here? What is Lugia going to be doing here at this position? There are not many things that can be done. Maybe evolving Mew VMAX, but I don't see it helping at all. And yeah, even if Matthew wanted, he can just keep drawing cards until Lugia decks out. That's basically it. A second Thorodon is going to be played, which might hint the fact that he has another energy, and that's it. So there are only 2 energies left. Only 2 energies left, guys, in the Lugia deck, and they are not enough for anything to attack. They cannot attack with absolutely anything. So I feel that at some point we are going to be seeing a concession here, to be seeing Lugia scooping out, unless, of course, like they want to keep going on to see, maybe to test some things out or to try an alternative route. The thing is that there are not many options left, are they? Yeah, you could keep looking at your deck, but there are 2 energies. No attacker that you have on the field can attack with those energies. So all that Control needs to do is to pass the turn until they deck out. Exactly. That's what they are going for. The deck out. And even if they truly wanted to, they could do the Eldegoss loop, which is basically attacking infinitely without decking out with Eldegoss. And I think that might be what they are going for, or not. I'm not entirely sure of what is going on here. So Coldress Experiment has been played to maybe accelerate some cards and make sure that there are no last minute surprises. I guess, or I think that there was a Marnie left in the deck, so that would prevent the deck out. But it looks like we are going to be... It looks like we are going to be here for a while. Looks like we are going to be here for a while because no player... So the Lugia player decides to keep going on. And yeah, so there it is, the Bird Keeper Eldegoss loop to effectively start attacking. Yes, that's exactly... that is exactly what this deck is capable of doing. So you basically attack, and don't... and put pressure on your opponent. Even if they try to stall, there would be a moment in which you win because you are always putting some damage on the field. But now Lugia understands there is nothing left for them to do and just concedes, forfeits the game and concedes. So now we will need to see a second game of these top 4. And the player that wins this game is going to meet Lugia in the finals, because remember that in the other bracket we have a mirror match. So we're going to go straight away onto the second game of this particular round. Let's go. So Matthew against Lugia. Who's going to go first and how they are going to set up? That's going to be absolutely key. Now, Lugia is going to go first, I would assume. Yes. Let's see if they don't start with Charizard this turn. Okay, so the hand is decent in the sense that they started with Lugia. However, there is no way for them to discard just yet any card to get Archeops on the discard pile. So, okay, so they decide to go for Capture Energy and to go for what looks to be Oranguru to maybe try to set up the field. Now, when you're playing this matchup, it is all about trying to save your energies as much as you can so that they can be effectively traded to give you a KO each turn. And that's basically how you try to beat Control, even if sometimes it's easier said than done. Now, interesting, because it looks like the player didn't have a lot of options here. Ooh, that Bruno was pretty good, because it already give Matthew the Regieleki and the Iveltal. Now, what are we going to see here? Still no Archeops into the discard pile, so Marnie seems like the safest choice. Also, it would be scary if we could see an attack. And look at this, we are actually, if they really wanted to, we could see an attack from Lugia, but with the downside of only setting up one Archeops. So I don't think that's going to be the situation here. I guess that they will just get something that they don't really need and just use Read the Wind or Read the Wind, maybe. So Primate Wisdom gets used here, and or maybe we're just going to see a pass after all, because these two cards that Lugia has in hand are pretty valuable to get wasted. I mean, not wasted, but if you use Lugia's attack, it's true that you set up, but on the other hand, you will be left without one Luminion and without one energy, and as we have said, it is absolutely key. So the player decides here, Lugia player decides to actually discard one of the energies. So this is an advantage for Control, because it's one less energy that they need to worry about and one less chance for Luminion to attack with it. Let's see now what the Control player, what Matthew is going to be doing. I think that they are not in a hurry. They just need to set up their bench, to set up their attackers, and to wait. You need to wait till Lugia has at least 2 or 3 energies in the field to start trading off your Iveltals with them. So yeah, the priority here is to set up basically as many Iveltals as you can, because Iveltal is what wins you the game. And there is Snorlax just chilling, doing fine, eating as much as he wants and using Gormandize again and again. So yeah, was more than okay, I guess. And now, so Lugia will be able to use Summoning Start. 2 Archeops are going to hit the field. And what is going to make a difference, because I guess that Marnie is going to be played here, is whether a double Turbo Energy or a Twin Energy gets played. Because if the opponent somehow breaks after that, chances of Lugia winning are high. However, if there is a way for the Control player to get out of that situation, maybe drawing a Colress Experiment, maybe drawing, well, Bruno has already been used, but a double Turbo Energy or something of the likes, it's now going to be problematic for Lugia, considering that one energy is already on the discard pile. What would be absolutely terrible for the Lugia player would be if there is a combination of the of Sydney plus the attack of an Iveltal. So let's see what happens. Luminion gets played here, and it looks like a Boss's Order is going to be grabbed for the next turn. Maybe to target an Iveltal or something that gets powered up. And we're going to see a Tempest Dive. I would imagine, right? So Tempest Dive from Lugia. No. So no Tempest Dive. So looks like they are going to accelerate some energies onto Luminion after all. Some energies are going to be accelerated onto Luminion, maybe considering the possibility of attacking with Luminion and getting back into the deck, preserving the energies that way. But let's see if that actually works. So Quick Ball is going to be played. That means that Eldegoss can hit the field and can select Bruno. And if Bruno gets played, you know that they get a lot of cards out of it, 8 in total. But no Eldegoss. So Radiant Greninja, that is going to be played to draw some extra cards after discarding 1. And yeah, let's see. Also, let me check very quickly because I need to see the list. Yeah, it runs to Eldegoss. So unless they are priced, it's because they already have a plan. Cold Resist Experiment. Okay, that's going to give them a breath of fresh air, which is going to be welcome. Now, what looks to be the play here, interestingly, is going to be the attack from Regieleki that gets back 1 trainer card from the discard pile, and the trainer card that gets back is Bruno. Okay, so it's basically giving Lugia the tempo they need to attack. So that is absolutely game-changing. I would imagine that, well, there are different things that Lugia can do here. It can either keep attacking with Lugia, it can maybe retreat Lugia and try to attack with Luminion, which will get the KO, or could even use the Boss's Orders onto something that they don't want, like an Iveltal. But let's see. There are, as I am saying, there are different possibilities. They will help you in different ways. So, yep. Let's see what happens here. So looks like the option is going to be Boss's Orders. But not clear. Boss's Orders targeting Greninja? Maybe because they consider that Greninja is a problem getting the resources that they need in the long term, and then attaches a manual energy, so attaches manually an energy to Luminion and just a Tempest Dive. Now, I would imagine that here what is going to be promoted is an Iveltal. That's it. And remember that Bruno is still available, but they didn't actually need to play Bruno because the energy was already on the hand. So now we are going to be seeing an attack from Iveltal discarding what looks to be the 3 energies attached to Lugia. That would be probably the way to go, because that way you trap Lugia on the active position and you force... Ah, okay, well, so it's a combination, okay. So you are getting rid of the Aurora energies, and you still give Lugia the possibility to attack, but only if it attaches 2 energies. Now, different possibilities. Again, here, different options that Lugia has. It can maybe attack with Lugia and get the KO, but then you know that probably an Iveltal is going to avenge the Fallen. You could potentially use Birdkeeper to attack with Luminion and preserve your energies, but you won't get the KO. Well, now you do get the KO. Now you do get the KO on Luminion, if you want, because you can use Lost Vacuum and get rid of the tool. So maybe that's a possibility, right? Attach some energies onto Luminion and get the KO. Wait. Are there enough energies, Aurora energies, for Luminion to attack? No! Oh my god, so Luminion cannot attack! Well, yes, it can. Well, it can. Sorry, it can, because it still had the manual attachment. Sorry about that. No, it still can attack. So, well, that's a way of preserving energies. Yes. Aqua Return will get the KO. And now the question is, what are you going to be promoting? Because the issue here is that, Okay, so Lugia gets into the active position. Lugia only needs 3 attacks to win the game. But the problem is that these 2 energies are going to disappear from Lugia, probably. And if that is combined with something like a Boss's Orders, it's going to be an issue. Or even Sydney. Yes, so Boss's Orders will target Oranguru, which is of course the one that has the highest retreat cost. And it will get rid of the energies from Lugia. So let's see what Lugia is able to top deck here. Not much, nothing that really helps in this situation, but still Oranguru is a card that is left to play. So maybe Oranguru would give something like a Marnie or something. So let's see. Primate Wisdom is going to put something on the top of the deck, and Skyla gets drawn. Skyla could be interesting to get another supporter for the following turn. But yeah, I mean, if you really wanted to, I guess that you could even attack with Oranguru. But it's not going to do a lot, I think, in this situation, if you attack with Oranguru. Because yes, you get the KO. But, well, maybe if you attack with Oranguru here, and then you start looping Luminions, maybe there is a chance for you to get the 3 prizes before they do. Even if the control player had decided to bench Miltank, acknowledging that if they go for the Luminion loop, that's the way for it to stop. So yep, looks like we are going to see an Angry Monkey smashing the Iveltal here with 3 powerful energies. The only thing is that you need a follow-up attacker, because that Oranguru will be stuck kind of forever unless you do something, or unless you run like an air balloon or something that will help Oranguru to go back to the bench. But no, Skyla was not played, so just a hit from Oranguru, and look at that. That might be very good moving on, which is a Luminion draw. But we see here another Iveltal being powered up. Now they acknowledge that there are no enough resources for Reiko to be a menace, so that's why another Iveltal appears, and 3 more energies go to the discard pile. Well, I was talking about Luminion loops. There you are, Luminion loops. The only problem that I see with this is for you to effectively loop between your Luminions, one has to be in the active position and the other has to be in the bench. And right now, Oranguru is on the active position, which is precisely something that you don't want to see. So Boss's Orders is going to be grabbed by Luminion, and another Luminion is going to grab another supporter, which in this case would be, I don't know. Look at that, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There are just 5 energies left in the deck, and the Lugia player still needs to get 5 attacks. Sorry, to get 2 attacks. So canceling Cologne, which is not probably going to make an impact in this game. Well, unless you want to use it to attack a Miltank, but I don't see Miltank coming into the active position anytime soon. So maybe we will just see a pass here from the Lugia player. Unless something extraordinary happens, I think that we have headed to a checkmate kind of situation and that has been set up for some turns now. And look at that, like the control player asking Lugia, hey, play quickly. But it's true that the Lugia player is definitely in a difficult situation after those Iveltals effectively removing most of the attacking options that they had. So, yeah. At this point, they can just chill out, preserve resources, and even recycle some, as what we are seeing here. So Regieleki getting some extra cards from the discard pile into the hand. And I wonder what we are going to be seeing. Looks like an energy is going to be attached onto Luminion, and 2 energies are now going to be attached to whom? So 2 energies will be attached to Luminion, maybe? Oh no. So, okay, so Oranguru is going to retreat, and basically they are going to try to do the Luminion loop, which will, of course, get 1 KO. No. Okay, so they are going, so seems they are going to target Miltank with canceling Colon. Okay, so that's actually quite impressive. It can win the game. So the game can be won at this point. The game can be won if they are not able to use a boss's orders or something. Regieleki, let me check very good. No, boss's orders. Now, this is probably going to seal the deal because with only 3 energies available, Lugia cannot attack. And I don't know how are they going to take Lugia out of the active position. How are they going to take Lugia out of the active position? That's going to be an issue here. But it's true that if there is a way for them to retreat and to power up Luminion, they win the game because they are only 1 attack away from winning the game. But Lugia is not the attacker that you can use here. You need to use Luminion. But how do you take Lugia out of the active position? That's what I wonder. If at least they had like maybe gotten an energy out of the prizes, this might have been fought. But right now, this is not looking really good. This is not looking really good for Lugia. Could have been won, but not the best thing. Yeah, not the best situation ever. Okay, so Oranguru now will use the Primate Wisdom ability to preserve some cards, and let's see if they decide to accelerate the game. Also, remember that it's very unlikely that even if the control player has less cards, fewer cards than Lugia, they can still use this infinite Eldegoss loop to keep doing damage and never deck themselves out. So that's definitely going to make a difference here. I don't exactly know if the Lugia player... I guess that the Lugia player is really trying to find a way out here, but it's having a difficult time finding it. Yeah, I guess that they are just kind of surrendering. Yeah, they are surrendering, basically. It's like, hey, well, you know, I lost the game. I completely get it. So let's finish this. Let's finish this. So Manapi attackable. That is it. So that's the way of the Lugia player to say GG, I would imagine. But it still does not surrender. So I guess that they want... Yeah, they want the game to be on for a little longer. In this situation, all that all that Control needs to do is to get rid of the last energy remaining in the deck, and that's basically it. So yeah, the Lugia player forfeits, and we have a winner. So we have a winner. Control advances to the finals, and to no one's surprise, it's going to face a Lugia deck, and we already have the 2 winners. So we have the Lugia player that we saw at the beginning, so Nick, the Brazilian player that has a nickname Nick Neras, against Matthew that we just saw on stream, that we saw in this game, going against Lugia and piloting, and in a very confident way, a control deck. So we are going to see the same, we are going to be basically seeing the same matchup. Now, I wonder if Lugia will be able to disrupt Control more than this previous Lugia that we have seen on stream. If they are going to be able to loop between Luminions, which is absolutely key in order to win this matchup, and also whether, you know, whether they will be able to preserve the energies in a better way. So give me 1 second, because the streaming has been passed here in the Discord server, and I'll be back with you once we have the winners, the finalists, shared with us their screens. So stand by and we'll back very soon. In the meantime, leave me in the comments, tell me who are you rooting for, who do you want to win, and what are your general thoughts about what we've seen so far. So be right back. Okay, and there we are with the finals. The finals are here. So Lugia against Control. And I didn't miss exactly because they started in another voice channel, but here we are at last. And what we see here is that Lugia started, but it had a very unfortunate start of Punkaboo in the active position, which is something that you don't want to open up with because it has a lot of retreat cost. And then the Control player just setting up as they normally do with Cormandice from Snorlax. So, wait, what? No! No way! 3 Archeops are in the prize cards? Oh my god! Oh my god! That reminds me of the times where I used to play Greninja Break. I don't know, guys, if you played during that time, but Greninja Break was basically a really good deck, but most of your Frogaviers were always there. Oh my god, so if going against Control is challenging enough, now this is going to make it almost, I don't want to say impossible, but almost impossible. It would be such an incredible game if Lugia was able to win this one, because you need to have the 2 Archeops to be able to retreat your attackers and to be able to loop between Luminions. Without access to double energy attachment, you cannot even attack sometimes with Luminion, because yeah, true, you can always go for the double turbo energy and for 1 Aurora energy. The problem is that if you do that, you cannot KO an Yveltal, because you are dealing 100 damage, and Yveltal has 110 damage. So you're falling short. And at some point, that loop is not going to last forever. They will find a way to cut it. So that's definitely a problem. Here, Control just chilling, getting advantage of the situation, understanding that, well, with only 1 Archeops on the field, that they have all the time in the world, and that the opponent is not going to be able to set up properly. So I think that here the only option that is left for Lugia is what they have gone for, which is Marnie and Pray. That's basically the strategy in which you Marnie your opponent and you hope that they break. But even if that works, it can still be... So it is not effective forever, because they have the Miltank on the field that will stop Lugia from attacking. Even if they don't draw a good card in the next top deck, they still have Miltank to stall for a little bit. But if they decided to promote Yveltal into the active position, I would imagine that it is because either they have a Thornton or because they have an energy and they want to get rid of some cards from the opponent's Lugia. So let's see what is the situation. Okay, so they decided to go for the Cry of Destruction, and Lugia in this case acknowledges perfectly fine the situation in which they are in. If they keep playing, well, they don't have an opportunity basically, and they have clearly seen that. So they decided not to continue with a game that was already sealed the moment only one Archeops hit the field, and the moment in which Yveltal was able to answer the Marnie with Cry of Destruction. So another chance for Lugia. Now Matthew is one victory away from becoming our late night champions. Let's see what happens here. But Lugia is going to start, and of course you want to start with something that either retreats for one energy, or with a Lugia, or with a Luminion. Luminion also works. And in this case, yeah, I completely agree that Luminion is your attacker here, because Raikou is very costly to power up, and you need to preserve all the energies. You can here. So Luminion is going to be in the active position. Actually, I think that Luminion for the first turns is even a better starter than Lugia itself. Lugia, you will probably use it only when you will probably only use Lugia when you want to get rid of the what are they called, of the stadium cards of the Galarian Mines. So capture energy goes onto Luminion. Lugia V is going to hit the field, of course. Now the only problem that I see with this is that even if they could potentially go for a turn to Lugia and use research to get the missing combo pieces, there are going to be some energy cards that will end in the discard pile, and every energy counts in this matchup. You need to be very cautious, very aware of the amount of energies that you use here. Now, what we see is a Regieleki being played with a capture energy, which is probably going to search for, Miltank. I was going to say a Snorlax, but they decide to stop straight away the Luminion loop and use Miltank as a defensive wall instead of setting up, which also works, because if you think about it, the only ways for a Lugia deck to get over a Miltank are Yveltal, which requires a ton of energies and it's not advisable, to use Charizard, but we are in the same situation. Charizard requires like 4 energies and it's not probably worth it, or Oranguru. Oranguru could be like the less painful decision, if that makes sense, but still it requires 3 energies to effectively attack over Miltank. True that if the player is maybe stuck, you could try to maybe attack with Raikou and use those turns that you have in advantage. But Miltank is looking strong. Honestly, Miltank is looking strong. Miltank is looking pretty strong there in this active position. And if I am not mistaken, let me check very quickly for you, but I don't think that the Lugia plays any cancelling column. No, they don't play it, so that means that they have no way of getting over Miltank. So yeah, let's see what is going to be exactly the play here, or how they are going to approach the matchup. But not an easy choice. Definitely not an easy choice. So yeah, also another way to kind of preserve energies would be either to attach them to Luminion and then put them back when you use the Aqua Return attack, or to try to place them in a Pokemon that would then use them at some point. Okay, so Lugia V now is going to hit the field, and in this case there are 2 Archeops in the discard pile. So the options here, and probably what I would go for, would be to power up the Luminion, probably, to power up the Luminion, or it can go very aggressively and directly attack with Raikou. Ooh, an attack with Raikou. Now, Matthew is saying well played. Is it because he has nothing else? Because maybe that's the problem, that he has nothing in his hand. So maybe that's the way in which Lugia takes a very quick win. Let's see the top deck from Matthew. 2 prizes, now 2 choices. Not exactly what you want to see from your prize cards, but I guess that it will be, that's what you have to deal with. Let's see. So Colrex Experiment, you now need desperately, they need to get a way to attack with Yveltal. A way to attack with Yveltal? Do they have it? Do they have a way to attack with Yveltal? Yes, they do. They do. Okay, so Cry of Destruction is going to get rid of all the energies from Raikou. That is it. It was a bet. It was a very risky but aggressive movement from the Lugia player, betting on the possibility of the possibility of Matthew being rigged. But it was not the case, and now, well, it's going to be very, very difficult for them to come back, because 3 Aurora energies have already been discarded. Then Raikou retreats for 2 energies, and yeah, true, you can keep spamming Lugia's attacks, but at some point, let's see if that is going to be enough. It might be enough, though. It might be enough. But let's see how Control is going to be able to answer this. I guess that what would be worst for Lugia would be either a Thoron play or directly Boss's Orders in combination with the Stadium, with a Galarian Mine. I guess that those are the worst scenarios. And looks like Thoron is going to be played using another Yveltal. And Lugia is of course not feeling happy about this. So Cry of Destruction is going to get rid of another 3 energies from the field. Now, how many energies are there left? So 4, 5, 6, plus a 7th one that is sitting on the hand. So these 7 energies, yeah, true, they can get you at least 2 attacks. But now the question that I have is, will Control be able to answer again with Cry of Destruction? If that is the case, things might be a bit problematic. But if it's not the case, I think that Lugia wins this one. Let's see. So Tempest Dive, Yveltal gets KO'd, and Marnie could be huge. Only 2 attacks is separating Lugia from equalizing this series. This is actually very, very exciting. I honestly don't know exactly who's going to win, because the player Control player has not been able to properly set up, as in the previous game where they had like 4 Yveltals in the bench. So now that's what they needed to do, Electromagnetic Radar, and try to force the opponent to waste energies retreating something. But they still have the energies enough to do that. So in fact, let's see what happens here. A possibility, there are no ways they even run Birdkeeper, so Oranguru needs to retreat manually, or either that or attack. Oranguru could potentially attack, attaching itself the remaining powerful energies, and get the KO on Regieleki. That's something that can happen. However, if the opponent then, if Matthew has the possibility of getting another Cry of Destruction, things are not going to look great. But there is Marnie, and Marnie can change everything. Oh my god, I think I'm screaming. But because this is... Wow. This is very nerve-wracking, and this is basically... That's it. Double GG. Well, there is still chances. There are still chances. So, if Iveldol gets a Cry of Destruction out, it wins. If they don't, it's Lugia who wins. So, did they get the energy? That's the question. Did they get the energy? Because if they got the energy, they won. If they don't, they lose. That's basically how this game works. I missed what was grabbed with a quick ball. So an Eldegoss, okay, that's going to get a supporter, and the supporter can be either Thoron or Colress. Probably Colress, right? I would imagine. Probably Colress, because that's the way in which they can see some additional cards. If Bruno was an option, of course, they will go for Bruno. But I don't think that I saw Bruno in the discard pile. So Colress Experiment. Oof. This is going to be very, very, very close. So will Colress Experiment give them the possibility to use Cry of Destruction? Yes, so it happened. So Cry of Destruction, and that's it. So we have a winner, guys. We have a winner. Matthew with Control is now our champions. Yes, that was, I think, I really like this matchup. Or well, I really enjoyed casting this top 8 for many reasons. First, because I got to see some decks that I really like Palkia Inteleon, which is one of my favorite ones. I also got to talk a bit about Mew, and we got to see a finals that was not a Lugia mirror match, which is always something that, of course, like it's appreciated in the type of format that we live in. And I thought that this was a very interesting approach on how to play the matchup between Control and between Lugia. From my experience, as I was telling you throughout the game, it's about trying to look between your Luminions, getting a bit lucky with the Marnies, and then missing something in 1 or 2 turns. And that's the way in which you can win. But of course, don't forget that Control was designed with the idea of beating both Lost Boxes and Lugias, which are the most popular decks right now. And of course, Mew is also a free win for them. So definitely, if you are planning to play a tournament anytime soon, consider Control. It's true that it's very tiring to play because it's about taking a lot of decisions. It's about remembering exactly what you have and what you have left in your deck, but it pays off. It definitely pays off. So congrats to Matthew. Well played, well-deserved winner. And that's going to be it. I will just leave you, but I wanted just to remind you that if you enjoyed the video on the stream, that please consider subscribing to the YouTube channel and leave a comment down below on what your thoughts are. Also, that you can easily win a trip and other amazing prizes to Japan if you participate in the late night events that are free, and you can sign up on Limitless. We are currently hosting them on TCG Online, but we will soon migrate to TCG Live. So having said that, if you have any particular comment for me to improve my casting, to improve my casting skills, comments are more than welcome and highly appreciated. So thanks for spending these hours with me. I hope that at least you had some fun, that you enjoyed. My favorite part was when Griden attack, so nyom 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 nyom. And I'm going to be leaving you and wish you a happy rest of the day. So thanks so much for signing up. Thanks for all the players, and thanks for staying here with me. We'll see each other in the next top 8 rounds of the upcoming late night series in Europe. So this is Elena and has been a pleasure. So bye bye!